Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts 2, another absent silhouette battle, and who is this? Let's check it out! Wonder who we're fighting in this Chain of Memories style arena. And yes, they did have all these assets because I believe Chain of Memories was in development at this point, so here we go. This is Larxene, Savage Nymph, and to be perfectly honest, in terms of all the battles, in terms of converting it from the card combat of Chain of Memories to Kingdom Hearts 2 gameplay, very little I think was changed. Again, the only thing is that, well, again, you don't have the zero card system to help you out. And, yeah, Larxene, much in the same vein as Zexion, she does have a lot of damaging attacks that can pip you, but again, she does have a few nasty surprises, so again, while she might do a bit of pip damage with her lightning attacks and multiple clones, yeah, she does have a fair few attacks that can really fuck you up at times. I believe this is also the boss battle where you get the best usage out of Reflect. But again, me being Solidus-Skully, the bumbling doofus, I can't quite time it as well as I otherwise should. So, yeah. Bully to me, I suppose. Though it is kind of interesting, actually, because Larxene does actually share a quirk with a certain other Kingdom Hearts super boss, where, again, like, a lot of the moments where you find that she's most prone is usually after an attack cycle, and she drops down, you know, as a bit of a cooldown mode. That's your prime opportunity to hit her and, you know, land a full-on combo before she, you know, gets up on your grill going, I'm a sadistic bitch, I want to cut your penis off and put an amplang in there. And, yeah, that metaphor just kind of got a little bit out of hand, but the point is that, again, she has a moment when she's prone after an attack cycle. That's your best opportunity, assuming you're not too damaged to attack her. I also do recommend coming into this fight a little bit more level than you otherwise would be, because, yeah, Larxene, at least by the time you first unlock her absent silhouette, well, she's pretty powerful, and this is pretty much a devastating attack. An animation that I think they reused from Hades in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Chain of Memories, actually, so, yeah, but yeah, pretty fun boss fight, all things considered, although, again, depending on your propensity for well, either tanking hits or blocking excessively with either Reflect or anything else, yeah, can be a little bit, pish. Oh no, by the way, for the past couple of videos, I know I didn't really mention it because, well, my brain is scattershot at the moment, but yeah, I am also trying to show off a lot of the different, you know, combo attacks and limit breaks with Donald and Goofy that we might not have seen yet, so, yeah, that's something. That's pretty much what these parts were for, really, just showing off additional stuff with the summons and, limit break attacks, which again, is something that I never really used, because again, and you know, while a lot of people do tend to call Kingdom Hearts combat very sort of like, oh, it's literally press the X button to win, hack and slash, and just tank hits, you know, without any form or grace that you would otherwise see in something like, say, Devil May Cry, or, you know, your typical Platinum games, insert whatever here sort of thing. Again, a lot of that I feel only really applies to your beginner and standard mode playthroughs. Play on Proud or Critical mode, and again, you will need to pay attention towards enemy attacks and blocking, and even on standard mode in and of itself, again, I kind of compare it to the sort of Sega mentality of, again, you can play very ham-fisted, and, you know, the game won't penalize you for it, but at the same time, there is also a matter of, you know, looking slick, silky, and cool if you're able to work with the game's combat system, know how to effectively time your blocks, know what magic attacks to use, and again, essentially exploit all the boss's weaknesses and, you know, strengths to not only make the fight look interesting, but also to make the experience of fighting it, you know, from a gameplay perspective, seem interesting. So again, it's part of the reason why I feel like a lot of people are a bit too quick to sort of discount Kingdom Hearts combat schema. Anyway, another Mushroom 13 ship, which we're pretty much getting. Well, again, we're not going to be seeing all of them this part, because again, we do still have a few that are limited to worlds we either don't have access yet or have never been to before. So yeah, secondary kind of cleanup video was going to be, well, not quite soon, because we are going to be getting back to some more plottedy goodness with, you know, first of which Atlantica, but then of course continuing with the main story. But yeah, there is pretty much a second cleanup video coming, and that'll basically just sort of be there to detail, you know, remaining super bosses and or, well, you know, the last of the Mushroom 13, so stay tuned. But again, it was also just sort of my attempt to sort of break up the journey a little bit, because again, I didn't want there to be, you know, several consecutive parts of, you know, just going after Mushroom 13, and, you know, just going through boss battles without really much plot per distance travel, because again, there is a balance that you need to maintain when it comes to RPGs, and, yeah, the last interesting thing, which I kind of regret showing off early as I do right here, but, yeah. Remember this hole, which is, what the Gullwings were looking for beforehand in terms of Ansem's treasure? Well, welcome to the Cavern of Remembrance. A place with a very chillax theme song and, well, depths that provide a lot of interesting secrets. And at the same time, there's also, at least in terms of a mythology perspective, something quite interesting, and I do have to wonder exactly, well, whether or not this might have been what Ansem was referring to in the Ansem reports, where he found the heart of the world. Because, I mean, again, you remember in Kingdom Hearts 1 during the Ansem reports where, again, well, at least who we thought was Ansem was in fact Xehanort, where he uncovered the door of the world, and, ostensibly surrendered that to the Heartless, and was basically doing a lot of research, so I do have to wonder if this was maybe his attempt to dig underground and... Well, again, based on what we're going to be seeing, it seems as if there was civilization and some very ancient Keyblade-y stuff going on down here, so again, it does make me very curious if Kingdom Hearts 4 might expand on some of the stuff we're going to be exploring down here, or anything else, but again, that's neither here nor there in this case. So, the Cavern of Remembrance, in terms of your raw gameplay experience, what is it? Well, basically, the Cavern of Remembrance is essentially a bit of a gauntlet level. Again, you're going to be fighting some enemies, you're going to be doing some platforming challenges, and for those of you wondering where all the ability challenges were in Kingdom Hearts 1, you know, with all its platformy goodness, with the tertiary Super Mario 64 influence, well, that's basically what the Cavern of Remembrance is. Again, you have a lot of places to jump to and fro, you have a lot of treasures and secrets to discover, puzzle pieces, obviously, to complete your puzzles, and of course, well, enemy gauntlets, which, again, unlike other games, you pretty much have no choice but to fight. So again, there are a set amount of enemies to defeat in these sorts of areas, and a word of warning, don't come in here underleveled, because you will be majorly anally beautificked. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend coming in here until you're, like, at least above level 50, I'll say that much, because, yeah, I mean, it starts off with a bit of a 3 AM wake-up call and just doesn't fucking stop, so... Yeah, you really need to be on your A game, and some of the enemies you face in here are familiar foes that you've fought before, but yeah, just a bit more powerful. Like, I mean, not necessarily these buggers, but the ones you really need to watch out for are the... I think they call it the Hot Rod Heartless. Again, they're basically similar to the, like, 1950s... Yeah, as you're seeing right here, the 1950s cartoon motor cars, but yeah, they're dangerous, and again, because of that little stipulation of the no, you can't hit me attack, yeah, they're gonna whittle down your health to 0, and it sucks. So, yes indeed, you will go from hero to 0, just like that. Hercules, the movie, available now in the Disney Vault. Excuse me. So, yeah, anyway. Again, as you can see from that very chain of memories looking door just behind us, yes. There are plenty of rooms to explore, and again, as you get further into the caverns, you do begin to see resemblances between, not just Castle Oblivion as a facility, but also, and again, this kind of takes into account if you consider Birth by Sleep, that yeah, either these doors were specifically put in by Ansem just for the sake of having a place to go, or that these were left over from the ancient Keyblade legacy, because as we will learn with Castle Oblivion, yeah, the door and the whole white coloration is basically something of a defense system. Which does make me wonder if maybe the Heartless are a part of that, or... I suppose with the absence of, you know, nobodies and whatever else, that's maybe meant to be sort of an attraction factor to keep unwanted guests out? I mean, again, I did mention it beforehand, you know, with the mansion in Twilight Town, like, I mean, this might just be tertiary stuff that's purely just there because of design, but again, I am quite curious if Kingdom Hearts 4... You know, especially given what we learn about, you know, the human forms of Marluxia, Larxene, and all that sort of stuff, and, you know, the whole Union Cross ancient Keyblade legacy, that if there might be something to this place. I don't know. Again, this is all just purely speculation on my part, but again, I am curious to see if, you know, all the stuff that we discover around here does have some relevance later on, or Or maybe not. Who knows, really? I mean, it does seem to be recording, you know, data, so to speak, so... And given the importance of the datascape in games like Coded and even Kingdom Hearts 3, really. Curious. Yeah, but yeah, to once again talk about the music. Cavern of Remembrance, really good theme all throughout, and even the battle theme is pretty good. So, yeah, now I have to bullshit some commentary. I suppose to talk about what areas are really like. I mean, again, it does progress until you reach the final area in Inner Sanctum, which at this point basically is where you're going to be fighting the organization data battles, but yeah, it starts off as a bit of a cavernous mine area, which, again, and given a lot of the construction that sort of matches Holy Bastion, it does kind of make me think that this is what Xehanort was excavating in order to, you know, dig deep to explore the heart of the world. But, yeah, you do eventually progress from that towards more esoteric chain of memory sort of locales, and yeah, to talk about gameplay for a moment, this is pretty much where, you know, this is pretty much where the abilities come in, and this is meant to be a stopping point if you don't have Glide, which we won't be getting until we reach the organization world, except I don't know how I was able to get my way through there, but I did with the dash ability, so, bully for me, I suppose. But yeah, for anybody, you know, looking to get into the Cavern of Remembrance, do it after you get Glide. Because by that point you pretty much get all the required abilities, and by that point, yeah, you can pretty much tackle all the platforming challenges, and by that point you should also be powerful enough to take on a lot of the enemies. Because again, this is pretty much requiring, and again, as you can also see with the balloons that contain, you know, a lot of the drive orbs, yeah, this requires you to pretty much use every single level of your drive abilities, and yeah, that's pretty much how you're going to be completing the Cavern of Remembrance. I don't have it because I mistakenly thought that I could pretty much go through it at this point, but no. So, whoopsie doodles. I mean, again, when we do get back to the Cavern of Remembrance, by the time I do get all the proper abilities and everything set up, again, I will be pretty much continuing from where we previously leave off from, you know, this part or whatever, but yeah, don't come back here until you have pretty much all your abilities, and by the time you acquire all the forms. I mean, we've got most of them now, we already have Master Form as our last one. But yeah, for the true final form is, Final Form. Which you can't get until after a certain boss fight with Blankety Blank, which is the Final Mix exclusive boss fight of Blankety Blank. And, yeah, you can only encounter that in the blank that never blanked. Well, I mean, I don't really know why I'm keeping stum, because it's pretty much the same location you saw in the secret movie of Kingdom Hearts 1. So, what the fuck? But yeah, like, I mean, I will say this about the Cavern of Remembrance. It is a very interesting area in that while it does have some very intense fights, it does also, you know, have a lot of environmental puzzles and challenges, which, again, kind of remind me of Primal a little bit. And that, again, you have to actively think about how to navigate the area, you have to know, you know, you have to adequately explore the area to find puzzles and, you know, get the mining equipment to move, and again, it really does put your player skills to the test, not just in terms of, you know, tertiary reactions, but also in terms of, you know, figuring out how to progress with each area. I mean, again, I'm not really too sure if they would consider this, you know, as a sort of thing for future Kingdom Hearts games, but I don't know, it will be quite curious to see, you know, level progression being done as you sort of explore, and again, utilize some of that platforming prowess to your advantage, although, then again, I suppose including mechanics such as, you know, the flow motion from Dream Drop Distance or whatever kind of negates all that, so, scratch that thought. Oh well. I mean, again, it is a very interesting level, and one that does, you know, put a lot of the mechanics to use, so, I don't know, I mean, it puts a lot of the rest of the game to shame, to be honest, and, yeah, the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series wouldn't quite reach this level of depth ever again. And, also, by the fact that I'm kind of fucking around at the moment, yeah, I kinda don't know what I'm doing, so, pretty much I'm just sort of finagling around trying to find out where I'm supposed to go, which, I mean, it had been quite a while since I last completed, you know, the whole Cavern of Remembrance, you know, to its fullest extent, so a few of the steps had kind of been edited out of my brain, thank Nomine, so yeah, but here's what you're really supposed to do, and I think I'll realize this after. No, wait, I'm just fucking around again because I'm a dumbass. But yeah, go back through that door, and you'll find some, you know, valve equipment which you can then use to lower the draw pylons. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I believe it's, no, don't go back through there. Do I have to edit a bitch? There you go, here's where you're supposed to go when you unlock the valve equipment. So just pretty much strike it down and whittle its health down, and you should be golden. And you pretty much have to do this for all three. I think I also have to do it in time as well, because if you don't, then, well, yeah, gonna hit all the switches again. Oh no! And again, as we will soon see, after we have a successful victory beating pipes, yes, now the drills are active and we can finally move forward. So were they platforms? Were they drilling upward, downward, inside, outside, through the stratosphere? The moon is shining for you, notice that I adore you. Why the fuck am I referencing Sonic Heroes? I have no idea. But yeah, the Cavern of Remembrance also does play into some of the synthesis stuff, where you get the Remembrance Gems, which are featured here, fittingly. And again, since it's pretty much the only place you're going to be getting them, yeah, you ain't got no choice. And I suppose to sort of talk about synthesis, you know, while we navigate around platforms and elevators, and I constantly fail to hit things properly, yeah, when it comes to synthesis, I'm not going to be quite as heavy on showing it as I was in Kingdom Hearts 1. Because, I mean, at this point in the game, you can pretty much get to the point where you start developing the ultimate weapon, but again, a lot of the nobody drops and, you know, synthesis items required to get to that point are a bit out of hand's reach at the moment. Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be saving that for when we finally have enough and we finally unlock the ultimate weapon, and then show it off, but that won't be until we get to the second batch of filler videos that similar to this, really, so... Yeah, so don't worry, you're not going to be bored and you're not going to be burdened with synthesis or puzzle pieces or whatever, because since at this point you pretty much already know what they do, so I can safely say that I showed it off and can keep the pace moving. Although I do admit though, like in terms of gameplay, I might stumble and fumble a bit. A bit of that's, you know, memory being a bit fuzzy with me, thank Nominee. Another bit was that I think I was listening to a lot of podcasts at the time, and my mind was a little bit loosey-goosey and distracted, so... Yeah, well, I mean, another bit is obviously me trying to get the treasures and everything, but, yeah. It was just sort of slowly trying to figure out how to do a thing and, you know, bounce about giving it all this. A groovier map. Yeah, well, could be worse. Treasures! I'm rich! Actually, that does kind of make me wonder, actually. Does Sora get to keep all the treasures he's found? I mean, money in the Kingdom Hearts sense does seem to be a universal currency, so, I mean, again, I always did think about the matter of, like, you know, what would Sora do for a job, you know, by the time all the Heartless was stopped and, you know, Keyblade wielders were no longer necessary, but, yeah, I mean, considering all those treasures and, you know, all the riches that Sora's picked up in his adventures, yeah, the guy's pretty much set for life. Well, I mean, I suppose unless he does the, you know, 1001 Arabian Nights Tale of Sinbad sort of thing, where he pretty much goes on the whole plot of Sinbad got bored and went on a journey and pretty much fucked his life over because he's a bit of a shit. And, whatever else. I probably should have said that for Aladdin's War, but we've pretty much finished with that by this point, and yeah, we also have absolutely nothing else to say with the Arabian Nights, unless of course maybe they adapt, I don't know. What was that movie called again? Thief and the Cobbler? I was gonna call it The Prince and the Pauper or whatever. Although admittedly that, looking back to the Sinbad tale actually, in terms of how that began with like, you know, can't remember who it was specifically, but like it was like a struggling poor man Sinbad meeting, you know, the adventurous Sinbad, you know, after he retired from his adventures and was all rich or whatever. Yeah, it seems like that might have been a bit of an inspiration for Prince and the Pauper, where, I think in some versions of the tale, like, Sinbad the rich gives Sinbad the poor, like a pittance of money or whatever for listening to his stories or something. At least I think anyway, it's been a while since I last did research into the Tales of the Arabian Nights. And, yeah, this was pretty much a point of no return where you do actively need glide in order to reach to the other side, but I'm a stubborn bitch, so, alack and alas, I can't reach it. Ho-hum, Pippindale. I mean, I try. Goddamn do I try, but... yeah, this pretty much stops you right here, and unfortunately there is no red faction-style destructible environment, so... yeah, you're pretty much buggered, so, yeah. When we go back to the Cavern of Remembrance, we'll be continuing on from here, so, keep that in mind if you're using this as something of a guide for your own playthroughs. But anyway, alack and alas, I do like to end things on a bit of a cliffhanger, so, on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and, what's Sephiroth doing here? Let's see what this dude's beef is with Cloud, and, let's see if he takes any interest in Sora, knowing that he kicked his ass last time. Catch you dudes and dudettes next time. Bye-bye.
What is Cloud doing?
Beats me.
By the way, you three, who are you?
Well, I'm not sure we should tell you.
Well, that's an interesting sword you're carrying.
It's the Keyblade!
I see. So that's a Keyblade. And I suppose you must be its chosen wielder.
So what if I am?
I wonder if it won't change its mind once I defeat you.